My name's Simone Hill, and I'm a front-end engineer at Vogue. Why did I learn to code? That's a good question. When I was working at my job as an assistant editor at The Knot, I kind of realized what I really loved about my job was the tech product and the platform and shaping this tool that brides and couples can use to plan their wedding. But I didn't know anything about how it was created or what would go into building something like that. And so I was really wanting to know more about a specific tech product and how to create one and learn to be able to build those myself. I think there are some parallels between, being an editor and a writer and being a software engineer. You have to kind of construct an argument when you write any piece of content and really have shape the flow of how a user or, your reader or the person who's using it kind of consumes it and like the kind of the conclusions that they draw from it. And you have to put yourself in that position a lot of times when you're thinking through building a feature as an engineer, because you have to think through, okay, what is the first step? What's that first interaction point? And how do I get from that first interaction point and create the experience that the user expects, or create something that they don't? Sometimes you want to create something that they don't expect. So I do think there are parallels there between my previous career and my career as an engineer. And the transition, it was tough at first, mainly not because of, the content of learning to be a developer is hard. That's tough. I'm not saying that's easy, but I think it's really more, the psychological feeling of, I did something completely different and now I'm doing this other thing that's difficult and it's hard and I know how to write, but I don't know how to write code. So I think overcoming that was actually the most challenging part in many ways, and it wasn't actually the technical aspect of it. Stick with it. I think it becomes really difficult and it's really challenging, and that never goes away, even when you graduate from Flatiron School, and even once you get your first job, and even once you get a promotion in that job. There's always going to be this feeling of should I be here? Oh my goodness, somehow I've made it all this way and I'm not a developer. That I've somehow tricked everyone up to this point. And there's always going to be that feeling of, wow, I'm way, way in over my head. And you just have to stick to it and be, dogmatic about it and keep trying different things. So I think what I was looking for in a web development bootcamp was similar to what I was looking for in undergraduate education as well. I really enjoy the liberal arts experience and kind of broadening problem solving skills as opposed to teaching someone a very specific tool. I think one of the big critiques of a lot of boot camps is, when this technology changes in 5 years, you'll just be left behind. But I don't think that's the case with my Flatiron education. I feel like it's very dynamic and it's there's problem solving skills that I still use as an engineer, and that's what I took away from it. I don't write Ruby in my everyday job, but I still have a great base through which to continue learning and continue teaching myself as well. I was really, really scared to try this new thing, and I applied to Flatiron. I submitted my application to Flatiron on January 1 of 2015. It was a New Year's resolution that I was going to do something new, and I really needed a change, and I had to do something radical, and that meant leaving my job, trying this 12-week boot camp that everyone's this is so different and unlike anything I'd done before. And I think, it was really, really scary at times. I had a lot of moments of panic, what did I do? Oh my goodness, I can't do this. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it proved to myself that, if I just kind of push through those emotions and feelings, and that I can, tackle something new, especially because I come from a background that, no technical background, first of all, and then I always had this sense of myself that I'm not a technical person. I don't come from a logical mindset. I studied anthropology and I was a writer, and that those things weren't me. And so I think that the takeaway was that that's just untrue. Anyone can push themselves, including me. Anyone can push themselves to learn these to learn to code, and, given enough motivation, and that I could look within myself and find that drive and do it and push myself through that. And I feel like that's a worthwhile lesson, in addition to, the great problem solving skills that I came away with. When I was there, we had this opportunity to work with some high school students and help them on their projects. And I saw teaching as an opportunity to learn as well, because once you have to explain a topic to somebody else, I feel like that's a great way to learn. And so I tell people that all the time. I was just at a meetup last night, and they were like, what's the best way to kind of immerse yourself? And I was like, teaching, even if you don't really know something that well, find somebody that knows a little bit less than you do and try and teach it to them. And you can get a lot of that at Flatiron because you're working so closely with your peers. And so, there might be a concept that clicked for you really quickly, or, even if it doesn't, find somebody and you're try and explain it to them, try and walk them through it. Even if they already know it, it can still be a real benefit to you and to the other person. I was hired at Vogue as a junior engineer, and was promoted to we call it a front-end engineer 1, which is kind of the next step up as a front-end engineer. There's kind of two routes that you can go down, more software engineer versus front-end engineer. And I have a lot of interest and a lot of passion for kind of some of the more front-end-esque kind of challenges. That said, I work on a small team, so we're able to, that's what I think the benefit of being on such a small team within a larger company is I get to see and interact with a lot of different pieces of our code base that's not necessarily strictly front end. And I think that's something I really appreciate about my team and about the leadership on my team. Is they try to emphasize that no one is pigeonholed and you just do these things, and what it means to be a front-end engineer has just changed drastically so much over time. It's being a front-end engineer used to just mean, oh, you're just writing HTML and CSS. Well, now we have this thing called React, where everything in your view, you're doing a lot of JavaScript logic in your view with your HTML. And there are some people that even, bring CSS directly in there too, as within React. So I would say it's keeping those kind of roles more fluid and dynamic, and really making it about, our team makes it about, or the leadership of our team makes it about what are you interested in, and taking it on a project by project basis, kind of, what excites you, what interests you here. And of course there's always people that have different specialties or things that they just have more experience doing, but I get to see and learn so much about a lot of different pieces of our app. Keep trying to build things, keep trying to, building, apps doesn't have to stop after Flatiron. It can be really beneficial to kind of take the initiative to build something, try out a new technology or a new language that you haven't had experience with, because I think employers are really impressed when they see that you've gone beyond just what you've learned in bootcamp to kind of apply your learnings and to something new. I think they really appreciate seeing that this isn't just about getting a job for you, that this is a dedication, this is a passion, this is something that you really want to do and stick with. Because being an engineer, it's not, it's a grind sometimes, that's your everyday, that's your day-to-day, and they want to make sure that you love it and you're passionate about it, and it's really what you care about, and not just something that is just a job, that it's really a career for you. Learning to code and being a software engineer was a very intentional step for me. I ultimately want to go to business school and transition into a product-facing role, lead a product team at a startup, or product at any number of companies. I think what really hooked me into my love of my desire to learn to code, and my love of technology was working on a tool and thinking of features and creating the story of who the user is and what they do and how they interact with the site, and how they how we fulfill their need for them with a piece of technology. And so my first step was to learn to code and be a software engineer, because I really felt like I had the perspective from the creative side and kind of the user side. I interacted a lot with our users in my previous job, but I didn't have the understanding of how I would actually embark on building something. And I think it's really, really important to know what goes into building an app or a website, or any other, even just if it's basic knowledge, because technology will change in 5 or 10 years, and what I know now won't, it'll be totally different what we're working on. But I think having that baseline of how to ask questions, what's important, I think is really beneficial. So yes, my career goal, I'm going to business school and I'm going to transition into product. And yeah, I'm already embarking on that goal as I'm entering class of 2019 this fall.